Hi everyone, it's Saturday, which means it's time for me to do another recap video talking about the songs I've written this week in the 260 Songs Challenge. Now, today's video is coming to you a little later in the day than I'd anticipated because I was filling in playing drums with a local band at an event called the Saltash Regatta, which means two things have happened. I've got a sunburnt forehead, I'm aware, I know, let's not talk about it. And the second thing that's happened is I've had quite a lot of beer today, so I'm going to keep it brief and try not to embarrass myself too much. This week I've been challenging myself to write songs for one instrument and a vocal. I've had varying degrees of success, but mostly failure. This week began with a song called She's My Mistress, She's My Bride. And the thinking behind this song was I watched a great film on the Sunday night called Ray, which is a biopic about Ray Charles. So I had this kind of romantic idea in my head that I was going to write like a bluesy, gospel-y type track. And on the Sunday night, I had the lyric come into my head, she's my mistress, she's my bride. And I think what that means is a lot of songs from that time are written by men who are kind of having women trouble, and it's from a time when I think maybe there was a bit more of men having their women at home and their kind of mistress, particularly kind of musicians. And it's in the film, Ray, you know, he's got his wife at home, he's got his family, but he's also got his road girls too. I like the idea of writing a song where somebody falls in love enough that one woman is their mistress and their bride together. They don't need anybody else because they have this person they're completely in love with. The trouble is, on Monday, I was just, if I'm honest, not in the mood to be making music. There are days when you just don't feel creative. You sit with your guitar, you sit at the piano, you sit in front of the computer, and nothing happens. Or you have an idea, and you just think it's rubbish. And it's that exact feeling that I'm trying to overcome by doing this challenge, because so many times I've done that, and I've just stopped. Well, this time I wanted to persevere. Now, that doesn't mean I'm happy with what I made. Honestly, I'm not. I really don't actually like this song at all. I think it's just got so many problems. I think the guitar playing is useless. The melodies are really lazy, and I just personally just would rather it didn't exist. But I did it, and I finished the song, and let's move on to Tuesday, which I feel is a much more positive day. Something about Tuesdays, the songs I release on Tuesdays seem to get played by BBC Introducing on the weekend. This song, Colours in the Rain, that I released on Tuesday, is being played on BBC Introducing in the South West again today and tomorrow. So thank you again, BBC, for doing that. It's 2 weeks in a row writing a song and getting it played on the radio on the weekend, so it's pretty crazy. The message in this song is that there are times in your life when it's right for you to keep your chin up. No matter how bad things may look, there is beauty in it. And searching for the colours in the rain or the colour in the air from streetlights, as in the lyrics of the song, I think is a really, really nice sentiment. It's looking for positives where you're surrounded by negatives, and it's simple. However, you may have noticed that there is more than one instrument in this song. Yeah, the truth is, I just couldn't not do it. I had to put strings in there and I had to put harmonies in there. I liked this song enough that it warranted it in the arrangement, and I wanted to finish it properly. That being said, I know that means I failed in this week's challenge on day 2 of just writing for one instrument and a vocal. But it's really difficult. It's really difficult to restrict yourself to just those rules. Speaking of rules, song number 3 this week on Wednesday, it's called We Don't Make the Rules. I sat down at the piano on Wednesday and wanted to write a dark, kind of interesting piano ballad, and ended up stumbling across something I really quite like. As with Tuesday's track, I cheated. I put more than one instrument in it. There's strings in this one too, I know, but there's something about adding those strings to that track, I think, that really gave it some life. I can't imagine them not in there. And the thing about adding strings, now, I please don't kill me, violin players or cello players, I don't think of them as an instrument in the same way as I do a piano and a guitar in my one instrument challenge. I think of them as texture, and I know that's because I'm writing them wrong. Like, I know that. I'd love to be able to think of these string instruments as lead instruments, and that's part of my goal moving forward, is to start writing more melodies into my string sections. But this week I felt like I could get away with it because they were simply adding texture, and they were just adding harmony and just a kind of rich texture to the sound. One thing I particularly like about this song is the harmony. I'm a big fan of chromatic chord movements, and one thing I really love doing is switching a chord for a diminished seventh to take me somewhere. It sounds mad, completely out of context, but if ever you're looking for just a bit more colour in a chord movement, try putting a diminished seventh in, see what happens. Most of the time, it just sounds kind of rubbish, but sometimes you just switch out maybe a major chord for a diminished seventh, or even just a regular minor seventh chord for a diminished seventh. It's going to give you a little bit more flavour. So I did that a few times in this song, and that's why it sounds like a Midgar song, because the entire Holographic Principle album, every single song pretty much has got a diminished seventh in it. I just became completely obsessed with them as a chord. I love the way that they add tension when they arrive, and they give you a sense of relief when they resolve, because all the notes in a diminished seventh resolve really nicely if they move outwards from the chord. And that gives you a sense of relief and a sense of home. So I'm a big fan of the chords and the movement in this song, and I think it's really interesting. I would like at some stage to revisit this song and maybe give it a full band arrangement and pop some heavy guitars in there and speed it up a little bit and make it into a Midgar tune, because I think it could be. It's got potential. Song number 9 on Thursday is called We'll Be Okay. Now, because I struggled on Tuesday and Wednesday to stick to one instrument, what I really wanted to do is to give myself a bit of extra legroom by using one instrument, but trying to simulate the sound of a full band. So having some percussion sounds in there, maybe some kind of synthy pad sounds. And the only instrument I know that's really capable of doing that I have available to me here is my electric guitar. You can make a ton of crazy sounds with an electric guitar, and what I was able to do is to use just the electric guitar to create guitar sounds, percussion sounds, synthy sounds, and even to a degree a kind of string sound. Now bear with me on this one, because I want to show you a piece of kit that I use all the time. It's all over the Midgar record, it's everywhere, and I used to play with it live quite a lot when we played Avalon off Lead Your Children to the Sky live. I get asked a lot after the shows, what was that thing you were using on your guitar? Well, that thing I was using on my guitar was this. This is called an EBow, and what it does is it creates a magnetic field here, and you rest it on the strings of the guitar. It's got little channels in there where the strings either side keep it in place, and it creates a magnetic field around the string. I've heard terms banding around like infinite sustain, but it kind of gives you this sound that's a bit like amp feedback, but it's more present than that. It's kind of a cross between playing the guitar with a bow and amp feedback, and it allows you to play the guitar in a really different way. I'm a huge fan of the EBow, and I think it sounds great just with like the reverb and delay turned up to 11, and just giving it that kind of broad, vast kind of widescreen thing. It actually works really nicely alongside strings too. As I said last week, what I sometimes like to do is to use a violin, which I play very, very badly, to give my fake strings more of an organic, real sound. I think the EBow does that in a way as well. So if you're struggling to make string sounds sound cool, sound really nice, and you're not willing to put in the effort to try and play a violin, and I understand why you wouldn't, because I'm rubbish at it, try adding an EBow to your arrangement, alongside some sampled strings. See what happens. I think it sounds quite nice. Last song this week, I called Next to Me. I thought I'd finally achieved what this week's goal was. I'd written a song for an instrument and a vocal, and I was so happy with that I decided to record it live. That then made me painfully aware of the fact that I haven't played live in such a long time, and I was quite uncomfortable at the piano. The mic was in the wrong place. My breathing was all over the place. I was sat hunched, sounding horrible. So I listen to that now and I think, oh man, that's just so ropey. It's horrible. But I think the song's quite cool. Lyrically, I'm pretty happy with this one. It came very naturally to the song. In terms of hooks, I'm also very happy with it because I think there's a fair trade-off between the musical hooks on the piano, those really singable piano melodies, and also the vocal melodies themselves. I don't think there's a moment in the song, except maybe the middle eight, where it's not interesting melodically, and I think that's a really, really positive thing. However, I am aware that it sounds like Bon Iver's version of I Can't Make You Love Me. I didn't know that when I was doing it, and then it was pointed out that it sounds quite similar, and I just can't shake that thought. It does sound really similar. I think that's a wicked song, and I think I'm in good company. But I think it's really interesting that something can stick around your subconscious for such a long time. I haven't listened to that song for years, and yet something came out that sounds uncannily similar to it. It is possible for these things to just happen, and it doesn't make me like the song less. I do really like it still. Maybe we could do a mashup, you know. If I decided to put my song in C instead of F, I think it would sound even more similar. So yeah. I think one thing I really want to say this week as well is I'm really, really pleased that you guys are liking the songs. You guys have said some incredibly generous and kind things about the songs I've written so far. I'm only 10 songs in. There's another 250 to go. Oh my god. But this week I wrote a song on Monday which I don't like, and what I'd really encourage you to do is, while I love you sharing your enthusiasm for the songs, what I'd also like for you to do is to share your dislike for some of the songs too. This is a process where I'm learning about writing songs in a new way, and I'm not going to get it right. It's impossible for me to get it right 260 times out of 260 in this year. The chances are that, I mean, it's likely to be 50-50, maybe even not that good. There's going to be some songs that just objectively aren't good. And don't be embarrassed or afraid to say when you think something sucks, because the chances are, if you think it's rubbish, like I know it's rubbish. So do share your opinion. I want an honest opinion, honest critique. What would you have done differently? You know, a lot of you are songwriters, a lot of you are musicians. Please share your insight, and if you've got any opinions that you're worried are gonna hurt my feelings, they're not gonna hurt my feelings. Get it out there. So it's still sunny, and I still have plenty of beer. I'm gonna go and drink all my Brewdog beer that's in the fridge, and I bought some more, so that's quite a lot. I love the Brewdog. What can I say? I love the Brewdog. Thank you again for a wicked week. I'm not gonna decide right now what this coming week's theme is, because I can't make my mind up. I've got a couple of choices. I'm going to tell you tomorrow what the theme is, and we'll catch up in another 5 songs time. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.